Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sisters for Financial Independence. My goal with today's video is to share tips to make cooking at home easier so that you can stop relying on takeout so much and finally start saving money on food. I grew up in a Filipino immigrant household, and takeout was not in our vocabulary. If we had rice at home, we had food at home. That was the mantra when we were growing up. I remember the days when my sisters and I would scramble to the kitchen to get rice cooking once we heard our parents' cars in the driveway. So, of course, when I was making my own money and I moved out of my parents' house, I absolutely overindulged in dining out. And frankly, it was easier for me. It was hard to cook for yourself, especially after a long day of work. But eventually, the expense of dining out started adding up. And if you are a user of DoorDash and UberEats and you start tallying up those convenient fees, you know that those fees add up. So hopefully this video can help you shift your mindset from constantly doing takeout to cooking for yourself at home and saving your money on the food that matters to you. There's really four main reasons why many of us don't cook at home and rely on easy takeout or dining out. The first is lack of time. Cooking takes time, so we want to address how we can reduce the time it takes for us to cook or improve the way we cook so it's much faster. Two is cooking skills. Unfortunately, we are not taught basic cooking skills in school. So many of us are scrambling to figure out what to do and how to make food that's good. Third is cost concerns. Sometimes we are worried that we don't have the right equipment, the right ingredients, and if we get those add up. So I want to share some tips to alleviate those cost concerns when it comes to cooking for yourself and reducing those takeout expenses. And the last thing is lack of motivation or interest. Absolutely, after a long day of work, after a long day parenting, after all of these things that you are doing to juggle life, sometimes you just don't have the energy, the motivation, or interest to cook dinner. So let's figure out some ways to bring back that interest and motivation so you can get started cooking for yourself and your family. Let's start with challenge number one, which is the lack of time. Cooking food at home takes time, from meal planning to food prep to the actual cooking and the actual cleanup. That process adds up. So I totally get it. Many of us don't have the hours in the day to spend time cooking. So here are my top solutions for when you don't have time to cook. First is to get practical with how often you'll cook at home. Of course, it can be idealistic to say, I am going to cook all the time at home. But you and I know that does not work. Transitioning from a lifestyle of constant takeout to cooking all of your food at home is going to be a daunting task. So take it easy on yourself. Start with a few meals where you can confidently say, I'm going to make and enjoy my dinner at home. Quitting takeout cold turkey is absolutely going to be a challenge. So don't set yourself up to fail. Each week, review your schedule with your family, or if you live with roommates, or even with just yourself. Figure out which days make sense for cooking. Make sure you have enough time to do so. And also build in some days when you will be doing takeout. Maybe you're working late or the kids have activities. Build those into your schedule so that you are not scrambling to find something to eat and you are planning intentionally when it comes to dining out and doing takeout. Here's a little secret. Eating most meals at home does not require that you cook every night. So you have to be a little bit smarter with how you plan when it comes to making sure you have food at home. Solution number two to the challenge if you don't have time to cook is to figure out days and times when it would make sense for you. This might be meal prepping and batch cooking on weekends, on days when you have off, on days when the kids aren't at home. We know cooking takes time, so make sure you have enough time to do all of the work as well as the cleanup. I'd also recommend batch cooking, so cooking something that you can have over the week, like maybe ground meat or pasta that you can mix and match with other sauces, other types of ingredients, so that it's ready for you when you are home from a long day. Solution number three, for those of you who don't have time to cook, is to take advantage of these amazing kitchen gadgets available out there. There's ones for choppers that allow you to chop your vegetables faster so you can store them and it be ready for you to put into meals the next day. Take advantage of slow cookers or pressure cookers, which allows you to cook meals with minimal hands-on time. These amazing devices can literally be left on for hours to do the cooking instead of you spending time in front of the oven or the stove. One of the best tips I learned when it comes to making sure there's food ready for you when you get home is to make dinner in the morning. That means utilizing your slow cooker to get something going. Let it do its magic. I have owned our slow cooker for over 10 years, and I must say it has been the best investment thus far. I believe we got it as a wedding present, and it's the one thing that has actually stood the test of time. Don't forget that you can get one that is just the right size for your family. If it's just you, get a smaller slow cooker so that you are cooking enough for leftovers, but not so much that you get tired of eating the same all week. Gadgets like the slow cooker or choppers or other devices not only save you time, but also money and the mental energy too, because it's one less thing you have to think about when it comes to cooking. Solution number 4 to make sure you have enough time to cook at home is to master 3 to 5 dishes. These are the ones that you know you can go to because you have the ingredients and you have the skill set for it. This is probably not the time to be experimenting with something new, some new cuisine, some new recipe. Figure out those 3 to 5 recipes that you know you, your family, or other people in your household will love so that you can get that on the table served without being tempted to get takeout or go out instead for food. The next challenge that you might be facing that is preventing you from cooking more at home is your cooking skills. When I was in high school, there used to be a class that was offered called home economics or home ec. And in this class, you would learn the basics of running a household, budgeting, meal prep, cooking, to basic sewing. Now, I haven't heard this class mentioned in a while, so I'm curious if you've taken it or if your high school offered it. I found that this class would have been so helpful for many adults as they grow up so they know the basics of adulting in today's world. It's also important to note that you might have grown up in a household where you never saw anyone cooking or you just weren't taught the skills to cook. So you might have a lot of doubts about your own cooking skill, and it's time to find solutions to improve your cooking skills and gain your confidence when it comes to being in the kitchen. I personally started cooking early because both of our parents worked outside the home. And to be honest, I just got tired of eating leftovers. Now, a lot of it was experimenting. A lot of it was just my parents like, okay, you can do that. But it was a way for me to get comfortable with whatever was available to do in the kitchen. I also was lucky because I grew up right when the Food Network came out, and they had a lot of instructional videos to help you with basic cooking. Now it's a lot of reality TV competition. But back then in the mid 1990s, when I was a teenager and growing up, those were the kinds of videos they had, and that was very helpful to get you comfortable and started in the kitchen. So if you did not grow up like that though, these are the solutions and recommendations I have for you. Solution number 1 to help you with your cooking skills is to take a cooking class, whether that's in person or online, to learn basic cooking techniques and recipes. I would recommend checking your local college, grocery stores, and even some adult continuous development programs for in-person cooking class. If you are in a metro area, check out cooking schools for hands-on learning. I've personally done classes at the Institute of Culinary Education, or ICE, in New York City by myself and with a group of friends. It's a fun way to learn new skills and improve your cooking technique. These classes can go a long way in helping you get comfortable in the kitchen, to learn a few dishes to cook properly, and also navigate some of the things that a kitchen has. If you have kids, finding a family class can also help encourage your kids to appreciate creating a meal at home. And that can be a fun family activity for all of you to do so that you are not the only one responsible for making sure there's food at home. Solution number 2 to help improve your cooking skills is start with beginner-friendly recipes. We all have to start at the beginning and then gradually challenge yourself with more complex dishes. I mentioned that rice was a staple in our household growing up, and it still is. But with a 5-year-old at home, we've expanded our recipe list so that we have something that everyone can enjoy. That goes from grilled cheese sandwiches, chicken noodle soup, to sheet pan meals that I know that I myself will eat, my husband will eat, as well as my 5-year-old daughter will eat too. Figure out what that means for your family. And to be honest, we don't serve anything different to our 5-year-old. She eats what we eat, so she gets used to the flavors and taste of adult food, and we don't cater to her specific needs. Solution number 3 to help improve your cooking skills is to explore meal kit delivery services. You've seen them, they have ads everywhere. And if you've been reluctant to try out these services, I want you to check out their prices, look at the offerings they have, and compare them to your takeout expenses. Now, some will be a little bit more depending on your dietary needs, but I want you to try some out because I have personally found that some of these meal services have pre-measured ingredients, recipes that are straight and easy to follow. And these kits can make cooking at home easier. It can help you test out techniques that you may not know or have never tried. And it also eliminates trips to the store. And because each kit comes with its own meal plan, it reduces the work needed to plan your meals for the week. Many of the meal kits out there also focus on very basic skills. So it can be super helpful to improve and master those basic cooking skills. I would recommend trying it out for a few weeks. Once you get the hang of the technique, of the ingredients that make up a wonderful meal, and really some of the recipes that you'll be exposed to, then try making it on your own. You will know what works and what doesn't after a few cooking trials. Cooking is a skill. The more you do it, the better you become at it. Just like playing an instrument or playing sport, you need to know the basics before you can improvise and do other complex things. If you found value in this video so far, give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend. I'm sure your circle of friends can use the motivation to cook at home and save money in the long run. The next challenge that you might be facing when it comes to cooking and eating at home are cost concerns. Certainly, if you look down the line, you'll most likely find that if you cook at home more, you'll save money. But I do think that you do have to spend a little in the beginning as an investment. Invest in your cooking skills, invest in your cooking equipment, maybe invest in certain things that you can use to elevate your cooking. Some of these costs can vary greatly, so I do want you to at least start cooking and figure out what type of equipment you need, what type of pans you need, what type of ingredients you need to bring your cooking up to the next level. First solution when it comes to cost concerns of cooking at home, 1, don't buy fancy equipment yet. Get to know what you have in your kitchen. If you are worried about having the right equipment to make food at home, I would recommend the following list. Number 1, a large good knife that will allow you to cut both vegetables and meat. A small knife will hurt your hands and it's not going to be good for you in the long run. Number 2, a large cutting board, one that fits all the food you need to cut. Number 3 is a pot or a pan large enough for you to use for the foods that you are going to cook for your family. For us, a saute pan, a stainless steel pan with larger sides, has been the game changer because it's one of the pans that we use so often, and it basically means that we don't need extra equipment in our kitchen. And of course, some mixing bowls and measuring spoons to help you get your ingredients just right. Get to know your cooking style, get to know the types of food you are going to cook, so that you know what to buy next to create greater efficiency for when you're cooking. It's so easy to buy the latest, greatest gadget out that is on the internet that some social media influencer will tell you. But if it's something that you were never going to use or have never found useful, that will be wasted money. So start the process of cooking and then figure out what you need to elevate your skills and your techniques. You also want to be investing in your cooking skills. So that might mean you're paying for a class, you're paying for an online learning. When you do take that class, remember that this is about building skills on top of the other. So even if it feels a little expensive right now, those costs do pay off in the future. So just think about that, as some of these things will be investments for more of your skills and the ability for you to cook better food at home. The next solution to some of your cost concerns when it comes to cooking more food at home is that you will most likely start seeing the price of ingredients. And this will be an eye opener for some people who've never shopped before or have never grocery shopped to buy specific ingredients for certain meals. So now at this point, again, this is all about learning. Yes, the first half will probably buy stuff that you don't use up, so they get wasted. But think about how to improve your cooking so that you are not wasting food, which means wasting money. A lot of this technique will be to make sure that you are using the best of what you have available so you're not wasting food and your energy when you're cooking at home. This is also the time for you to learn how to figure out how to buy affordable ingredients, how to use up certain types of beans or lentils or rice to add more bulk to your meals so you're not spending on costly meats or other protein. It's also a good idea to start figuring out how to shop efficiently. Once you figure out what you need, now you can take advantage of sales, discounts, and anything else that might help you reduce your grocery bills so that you have the capacity to cook more at home and save money overall. The last challenge that you might be facing when it comes to cooking more at home is just the lack of motivation or interest, especially after a long day of work, long day of parenting and lifing around. It can be hard to just go to the kitchen, prep your meal, and cook something for an hour. We all have those days, so make sure you build in those times when you can actually just take a break, relax, and have takeout and dinner come to you. For those other days when you need a little bit of a push, keep these few solutions in mind. Solution number one to give you that push of motivation is to explore different cuisines and cooking styles so that it keeps your recipes and food at home interesting and exciting. One of the things I love to do is to check out ethnic markets for different kinds of sauces, different kinds of frozen food that you can add to your meal so that it adds variety, it adds flavor, and it adds that hint of uniqueness. Eating pasta every day, eating the same food every day is going to deflate your motivation. It's going to deflate your interest to cook at home. Let's be upfront here that the food you make in the first few weeks will probably not be as delicious as the food you get from restaurants. Restaurants add a ton of ingredients to make their food tasty, from salt to sugar to oil to butter to everything else. You probably will not be cooking the same way as a restaurant, so you need to understand that your food will taste different. Just keep in mind that the food you make is for you and your family's consumption. It doesn't have to be Instagram worthy. Just make sure it's fulfilling for you and your family. Solution number 3 to keep the motivation for cooking at home is to elevate some of the frozen meals you have. It's okay to actually buy frozen vegetables, frozen pizza, frozen things that is easy for you to grab. But I would recommend that you elevate these items with other ingredients. If you buy frozen pizza, add more cheese, add other toppings to it, maybe mushrooms or fresh vegetables to give it that extra flavor. If you're buying vegetables, make sure you season it a little bit extra so that it tastes better. There's nothing wrong with using frozen, and there's nothing wrong with actually adding some things to your frozen meals so that you can still get dinner out for you and your family. And the last thing that you can do to make sure everyone in your family is motivated to cook at home is to get everybody involved. I know it's easy to do everything yourself if you're a mom. Maybe you're the one who is trying to save money and all of your roommates are not necessarily into it. But if you can get other people in your household involved to help you cook, help you grocery shop, help you prep meals, many kids want to be involved in the cooking process. And yes, it might be a little time consuming. It might mean more cleanup, but you have instilled and taught people in your household how to take part in making sure that everyone eats well at home with the food that you're making. I hope this video has been helpful. If you have gone through the process of cooking more at home and eating less takeout, let us know your best tip in the comments so we can help each other out. Did you know that the average 4-person American family wastes around $1,500 worth of food in 1 year? That's a lot of money. To help you reduce food waste and save that money, I want you to check out this video. Takeout is an expensive habit. The more you do it, the more those convenience fees add up. If you're looking to figure out what other habits are costing you money, check out this video. Thanks for joining me. I will see you next week for the next video. Bye.